briefly explain, we began this journey placing before the public forum based on the Gazette notification that has been promulgated by the government of Sri Lanka, vesting police powers in the Army, Navy and the Air Force. We have seen the repercussions of that. We have seen deaths taking place. We have seen people being evicted from their own livelihood, from the shelter that they were under for decades. In this instance, law was of little consequence. They were evicted by sheer illegal process. The time factors were mostly against them and were unable to get the assistance of law and the justice system that we have. The rule of law is defined as a restriction of the arbitrary exercise of power by subordinating it to well-defined and established laws. It is a principle that all people and institutions are subject to and accountable to law that is fairly applied and enforced. Aristotle flatly opposed letting the highest officials wield power beyond guarding and serving the laws. In other words, Aristotle advocated the rule of law. The World Justice Project has proposed a working definition of the rule of law that comprises 4 principles. A system of self-government in which all persons, including the government, are accountable under the law. A system based on fair, publicized, broadly understood and stable laws. A fair, robust and accessible legal process in which rights and responsibilities based in law are evenly enforced. Diverse, competent and independent lawyers and judges. The judiciary is the last bastion to a person who has been subject to injustice. It is in such a backdrop that it becomes an imperative concept in giving effect to rule of law as opposed to rule by men. However, the notion of rule of law can be regarded as being safeguarded only if justice can be administered to all citizens equally. Arising out of this is the fact that those who have been temporarily entrusted with the duty must maintain and protect, nurture the rule of law for the benefit of the people and not the political masters. Nonetheless, what has happened today? Army or the military is an integral part of the defense system of a state in ensuring the protection of the state and its people. However, they have no role to play in policing a society. On the contrary, they are regimented to act on the dictates of politicians in power. In this backdrop, society has rapidly been tilted towards militarisation. The military rule, which has been enforced under the guise of civil war, is gradually overshadowing the democratic society. Whilst there has been a gradual decline of the rule of law over the last few months, it has now reached a critical point. Human rights, humanitarian laws have been completely disregarded. The entire society has fallen prey to subjective standards of a few who hold unlimited power and a few others who are closely linked to them. Laws that must apply to all persons irrespective of their status do not seem to apply to them. They appear to be above the law. What is the role of the legal fraternity in the name and the need of the hour? I shall quote from the former Chief Justice of Mahabharata, His Lordship Justice Altamas Kabir, died 24 hours ago. In Sri Lanka, he said, it is the duty of the legal fraternity upon its corporate social responsibility to give something back to the society in return for what we have been benefited. Issues of public interest should be in the foremost in the mind of a practitioner. Fundamental rights of the working class, such as the right to strike, right to protest, and the right to express their views through peaceful protest which are guaranteed by local laws, including the Constitution and its provisions, and international covenants, are being stifled by way of restraining orders obtained from courts. Those who are in the highest level of governance are blatantly violating the law with the full glare of public scrutiny. If this situation is permitted, it would create a dangerous trend where privileged persons would have no law to obey. We have seen sad incidents in Valivaria, Slave Island, Wanathamulla, Nigambu, Shilau, and in Kasarpur. When will that day be to put an end to such lawlessness? The appointed process of the judges that was once vested with the Constitutional Council is now vested in one person who takes arbitrary decisions in the appointing process. The seniority, the qualifications are of little concern. Appointments are being made based on friendship and allegiances. And these appointments do not do any good for the independence of the judiciary that we are finally dependent upon. And these appointments are also made in total disregard and violation of the Latimer House principles governing the same. It was in the morning newspapers today, I saw the police have reported facts and obtained a judicial order preventing a peaceful protest in Galle offence, alleging that it would impede the free flow of traffic. For just a few weeks ago, we witnessed hundreds and thousands of sandbags being stacked and unloaded. Even during peak traffic hours, we know who was responsible for this. The police did not think it fit to obtain civil and judicial orders. This is the society we live in, but who cares? A recent issue of the Sunday Times reported that 9.32 kilometers long open circular highway from Kadagata to Kerala cost an ungodly 7.2 billion per kilometer. A 26-kilometer extension of Southern Expressway to Mathura and Biliyatta would cost 4 billion, that is 4,000 million per kilometer. And Southern Expressway would cost 4 billion per kilometer, 4,000 million. Karnataka Expressway cost 1.8 billion per kilometer. These have no standards. It may vary from one to another. It may vary depending on the people who bid, who get these awards. It is the rights of we the citizens in the country that are violated by the award of these mega projects without a transparent tender procedure by way of so-called unsolicited deals. But who cares? All kinds of lame excuses are given by corrupt officials to satisfy their guardian angels. They must not make the mistake that the society is so gullible and ignorant. You can fool some people for some time, but not all the people all the time. It is the call of the professionals to resolve to prevent the further deterioration of the rule of law and urge professional organizations, trade unions, student unions, civil society organizations and citizens and make them aware of the dangers ahead. Raise our voice against militarisation and lawlessness. The CI just mentioned that the bidding process that has been completely flouted, where lame excuses are given, it must be made that such unsolicited offers should be made an offence and it must be brought into the law book because the discretion that has been vested has been completely misused and abused. We in the BASL passed resolutions, we issued press releases, we did everything within our means. The hour is upon us to cry for justice. Though the powers that be may never hear us, though they may hear of us. Let's break from the fearful palsy. What is the need of the hour, if any, on our individual action? This voice must most surely be heard of of the wrongs of headless anarchic attitudes, while the ruin of a nation are on the cards and on the heads of the people of this country. The true times have come to drive sanity and restore intent in full glare of public scrutiny. Let it not be left to the judges and lawyers near and far. Let's get together and plead for justice and equity, plead for rule of law, independence of judiciary, and save the nation's life and save it from tyranny. Time is up for all concerned to cry for justice. Not only for those who come seeking justice, but judges themselves who cannot speak for themselves. It is time that transparent procedures are put in place and independent criteria based on merit be put in place, and turn our back to those who take positions in the judiciary that do not legitimately belong to them. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has taken this historical initiative as codified in its constitution, definitely not for the personal gain, for the legal fraternity, nor for myself. Martin Niemöller spoke about cowardice of German intellectuals following the Nazis' rise to power and the subsequent purging of their chosen targets. Group after group, he said, I quote, "Firstly, they came in search of socialists. I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews. I did not react because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me. There was no one left to speak for me. Therefore, I conclude here, dear friends and venerable clergy, let us learn from these mistakes and ensure that we, the intellectuals and the guiding forces of the society of Sri Lanka, stand up as we have the ability to stand up of our own without the assistance of winning powers of other lands or the foreign countries. We can do it, we shall do it, and we shall speak not only on behalf of us but also speak on behalf of those who are underprivileged, who cannot speak for themselves, and that would be the day that we will be doing our duty by the society. Thank you very much.